Hi Year 8, welcome back to lesson 3 of biomes. I hope you're all doing well and thank you again for handing in your work on time. This week we are looking at rainforest structure. So what do those rainforest biomes that we were looking at, what do they look like when you go there and how are they structured? Now this lesson is due in on Thursday the 7th of May at 12 o'clock, usual time. Remember, it will just be uploaded to Teams. Your teacher won't send you an email unless you have previously organised that with your teacher. And then you can email it back to your teacher for marking or just upload it directly to Teams. It's a lot easier if you can upload it to Teams, because then we can directly get back to you. Okay, so give yourself a minute then to write the title, and then we're going to look at the key terms. First key term that you need to write down is biodiversity. This means the variety and variability of life on Earth. The tropical rainforests cover 10% of the Earth's surface, yet has 90% of the Earth's biodiversity. So that means within the rainforest they have 90% of all animals and plants there. That's just overwhelming. Adaptation. This means the process by which an animal or a plant species becomes better suited to an environment. So how do they survive in these environments? They've adapted. Okay, pause the video, write those down. Alright guys, here is your quiz. So remember just to write down the answers for this one. You don't have to write the full sentence. For this, it's slightly different. What I want you to do is read the sentence and write down either R for rainforest or H for hot desert. So is the statement talking about a rainforest or a hot desert? Okay guys, so remember to get out your green pen and give yourself a tick or make some changes. Here are the answers. Alright guys, so well done. So this is just another recap. So how much do you remember from last lesson about this convectional rainfall? Now it's something that happens at the equator, so where rainforests are. So can you please, in order, starting from 1, 2 and 3, what happens? So describe how convectional rainfall happens. And then you can have a go at the challenge there. It says, why does this happen daily in a tropical rainforest? Okay, give yourself about 3 minutes, guys. All right, guys, so let's see how well you've done. Get out your green pen and just do some corrections. Okay, so first of all, it's really important to get the statements in the correct order. So you should have started with number 1, what happens there, and it will help you describe it. So first of all, the sun heats the ground. If you wrote that the sun heats the ground, give yourself a tick. That is what happens first. Then this leads to rapid evaporation. Remember, the ground heats up and the moisture is then turned into a gas and it's taken up into the sky. And here it rises really quickly. As it rises really quickly, it cools and condenses to form rain clouds. So you should have put that down as well. And then heavy rainfall happens. So as it condenses, it gets into clouds and then eventually rains. And that happens over and over again throughout the time in these tropical rainforests. Well done. And a challenge, why does this happen every day? Well, it's because there is always constant heat from the sun at the equator. The sun is always there at the equator, so it's always going to be evaporating the moisture at the surface of the Earth, and that means you're going to have this constant cycle of rain. It will evaporate, condense, rain, evaporate, condense, rain. It will just keep going on. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do is have a look at these two figures. So you've got figure 2 here and you've got figure 3 here. Now they are both pictures of the tropical rainforests, but here figure 2 is an aerial view, so it's a view taken from right above it, so up in the sky. And then figure 3 is a ground level view, so imagine that you were actually on the floor, standing on the floor in a rainforest, and you've taken a picture. What I want you to do here is cast your mind back to our first lesson where you had to compare your own biome to the deciduous forests in the UK. So what I want you to do here is, looking at these two figures, how does the tropical rainforest appear different to forests found in the UK? So how are these pictures here different to what you'd see in a forest in the UK? And then I want you to just tell me what evidence is there from the photographs. So can you pick out things you can see within these photographs and then use that as evidence? All right, so you should have written down some differences between the tropical rainforests and the UK's deciduous forests. So let's see what you got. So remember to green pen. So you should have said thinner trunks, and they have taller trees. There's higher humidity. You can see there's humidity there, all the steam coming off the trees. That is exactly what we just looked at, convectional rain, as the moisture is being evaporated up into the sky and it cools and it condenses. So you can actually see that condensation happening there. So the trees are thinner and they're taller. There is less space between the trees as well. Look, you can see the forest is very dense there. And figure 3, there are more shrubs. Shrubs are like little bushes, so you can see them here, bushes down there. And look, this tree here has wider roots. They're actually called buttress roots, and we'll look at those in a minute. So they're really wide. Try and have a think, why would they need to be really wide? And it might link to this here that I'm circling. All right. And there's the challenge there. Okay, so let's go on to this then. What is the structure of our tropical rainforests? So what I want you to do, guys, because I can't draw on this PowerPoint at the moment, I just got a picture here and I want you to copy like you did last lesson. So you can pause the video and I just want you to copy the diagram that you see in front of you now. Okay, so what you can see here is my tropical rainforest here is split into 4 distinct layers. Now each layer is really important. So let's have a look at the first layer. So just make some notes as we go along. The first layer is called the forest floor, which makes sense. And it's only between 0 and 5 meters high, so it's not very high at all. Down here, the forest is very dark. It's wet because it's always raining, and it's very humid. So think about going into a sauna or into the bathroom after you've just had a shower and it's really steamy. That's what it will be like down there, and that's what humid means. Now, the ground here hasn't got many nutrients, and we'll look at that a bit later. But here's this word again. The trees have wide buttress roots to support heavy trees, these really tall trees that stand really, really tall in the forest, need a lot of support down the bottom. And they've developed buttress roots to help them, well, prevent them from falling over. If they didn't have those wide roots, the trees would just topple over, so they wouldn't be much use. The next layer we have is called the understory. It's a little bit taller here. It's between 5 and 17 meters high. So this area here. Here we've got shorter, younger trees and shrubs and bushes. and bare tree trunks. So here where you've got the younger trees that are just starting to grow. We've also got these things called liana vines. Now I don't know if you know Tarzan, you know, the king of the jungle, and how he goes swinging through the trees. What he holds onto are what are called liana vines. Okay, and they're these vines that wrap themselves around trees and climb up to the top so they can get the sunlight. Right, the next layer is really important, this layer. It's called the canopy, and this is at 17 meters to 29 meters high. So remember, tropical rainforests are really quite tall. The canopy is really dense, so it's where all the leaves are and all the branches are of the trees. You can see them here. It's the thickest layer. And here is where 80% of all life found in the rainforests is. So that's where you'll find all your animals, the flowers, in the fruits. You'll find them up in this layer here. Now the last layer is called the emergent layer. Now you can see here, these are the really tall trees that just poke out at the top of the rainforest. Okay, these tall trees are called kapok trees. So they are really effective at growing, and they are the quickest growing, and they are the ones that can reach the sunlight the most. And they can grow up to about 50 meters high. Okay, so just make some notes from those then, guys, and we'll move on. Okay, so just add to what we've just looked at. I'm going to give you some rainforest facts. So, where are they located? If you remember from your first lesson, they are centered at the equator, and they do extend north and south to the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer. Why is a tropical rainforest the ideal biome for plants to flourish? Because it's what all plants need. They need heat from the sun, sunlight, and water, and that's what you get there all year round. What other type of forest has distinct layers? Well, the deciduous forests you find in the UK. So, remember I said just a minute ago that the forest floor is very dark, and that's because the trees are so close together and the vegetation is really dense. Only 2% of sunlight can actually reach the bottom. Why are young trees growing quickly? Well, they've got a race to get to the sun. If they're not very quick, then the other trees will grow past them and then block out the sun completely. So it is a race for the sun. Okay, here we go. This is your independent task. It's a pretty easy one this week. I just want you to use everything you've learnt today to describe the structure of a rainforest. Okay, and then tell me some features that you find there. So your success criteria is you've got to use all of these words, all 8 words, in the correct order and in your answer. You've got to talk about all 4 layers, and you've got to talk about at least one feature found in each layer. And then if you want to challenge yourself, especially sets 1 and 2, you can give 2 features or more, and maybe some extra information that you know already. But before you get started, let's have a look at an example. Okay, so have a quick read of this, and then we're going to see if it matches the success criteria. All right, let's have a look. So yes, it does have 4 distinct layers. First one is the forest floor, so that's correct. Yes, it's named the layer. And yes, it's named a feature, the buttress roots. The second layer is the understory. Yep, they've named that. They've named a feature with the lianas. And they've said that they've got thin branches, the trees. Third layer, excellent. Yep, they've named the layer and they've named a feature. And the fourth layer, they've only named it. So let's read this then. Yes, they've identified all 4 layers and they've provided some features, but they haven't done it for every layer. The 4th layer, they haven't described any features there. Some terms are missing, like light and the kapok trees. And there's no reference to the heights. So this does not meet the success criteria. Okay guys, so it's your turn now. Be really detailed in this. I want to see at least 4 paragraphs from sets 1 and 2. Other sets you can have a go at this, try and do everything on the success criteria. And if you look at the next bit in a second, there will be a help sheet. So if you really need it, there is a help sheet there. Okay, well done guys.